Hi everybody, and welcome to another edition of First Person, sponsored by the Buckeye Insurance Group in Piqua and the Coverman Dickerson Agency, representing the products of Buckeye Insurance in Troy, Piqua, Covington, and St. Paris. Our first time ever from Arcanum High School this week with the new head coach of the Arcanum Trojans, TJ Powers, a guy that is very familiar in Darke County. Played at Greenville, grew up there, coached there for the last 5 years. New gig for you here in Arcanum. Right. Tell me how that's been for you so far.
Well, you know, it's been fabulous, Sonny. I mean, the community's been very welcoming. The kids they do anything you tell them to do for the most part. Yeah, we found out the last couple of days, not quite everything, but we're getting there, you know. And the kids are a great group of kids. And like I said, the dads here, there's a strong group of dads that, you know, they paint the fields, they paint the practice field. I mean, we get fruit after 2-a-days, cheerleaders give us popsicles. I mean, there's a lot of neat things here in this community. It's a very tight-knit community, and I'm looking forward to being a part of it.
You know, you had a good 5-year run at Greenville. I know there was some frustrations there. We won't get into that, but tell me a little bit about the difference in coming to a smaller community here, where I'm sure you have a little bit more maybe one-on-one, not only with the kids, but you mentioned dads and parents, and that's very important.
Absolutely. I think that, you know, as a head football coach of a program, I don't even care if it's a big-time, big school program or a smaller school, whatever. I think you got to be accessible to parents. Now, you know, we lay the ground rules about what we're going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about playing time, et cetera, but I want people out there watching practice. I got no problem with that. Some coaches don't. They want to hide stuff and things like that, and I'm that way too, as far as not revealing things. But I love having a community that's going to support the program, and I know from talking to previous coaches that have been here, and a couple coaches I have on my staff, Coach Schutz, who actually coached here, you know, 6-7 years ago for a few years. He was the one that told me when, you know, we talked about this job popping open, and boom, you know, all the things about the different communities that it's just more of a family atmosphere, you know, here than what I've been accustomed to. And that's no slight on where I've been. I think it's just different, you know.
TJ Powers, the new head coach of the Arcanum Trojans in the Cross County Conference in Arcanum this week on First Person. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about Arcanum football. We're going to talk about the Cross County Conference, a subject that a lot of people have weighed in on in the last year. And we'll be back to do that right after this word from the Coverman Dickerson Agency, representing the products of Buckeye Insurance, right after this.
The Coverman Dickerson Agency, with offices in Troy, Piqua, and Covington, is pleased to be the sponsoring Buckeye Insurance Group agent for this first-person interview. For farm, auto, and homeowner insurance, Coverman Dickerson is one of the area's fastest-growing Buckeye providers, with a history of service and competitive rates. And we're also an outstanding source of coverage for families with young drivers. For farm, auto, and home policies, call the Coverman Dickerson Agency, proud to represent Buckeye Insurance Group.
Welcome back, everybody, to Arcanum High School, and TJ Powers, the new head football coach of the Trojans, 5-5 last year. I know you come in with some goals and some expectations, even though it's your first year here. Tell me a little bit about the things you hope to accomplish. And I know you're going to say we're going to win, we want to get to the playoffs.
Right.
But tell me about the realistic things you want to establish here in your first year as head coach.
Well, you know, you're right. I would have said that first if you didn't say that. No doubt about it, we want to win. But, you know, getting into the depth of it, Sonny, is the fact that, you know, and this is a cliche, but it's so true, because I want to see our kids getting better every day.
Yeah.
And improving on, I mean, we have not thrown a whole lot at them. We really haven't, but the kids have picked it up really well, as far as schemes and things like that. But fundamentals and techniques, I mean, we're just honing that in every day. What we talk about is we're giving you tools that's keeping your tool shed to then go use in the game. And that's sort of the analogy that I use for it, is there are tools in the tool shed. I can't tell you which one's going to be best all the time, you know, but you got to be a football player. And I think that's a big thing I'm looking for right now, is developing football players. I don't want robots. I want guys to do as they're told, but at the same time, I want them to be a football player. And I can't tell you exactly what a football player is, but I can give you examples of it. You know what I mean? There's certain things, that's a football player right there. You know, you make a little subtle move here or there. You know, your power step into the right as a lineman and nobody's coming, you kick step back. And I mean, that's being a football player. We're teaching those things. You got to use some of those things. You got to be a football player and know when to use it. So, I mean, those little things, but really, you know, when you look at a football season, you do play one game at a time, but I break it down into parts too. And obviously, our first 2 games, Preble-Shawnee away, Tri-County North at home, you know, is our first home game. and then we got Miami East coming in. And I've already got about 100 texts about people coming to that game week 3 because Coach Current was my defensive coordinator, and I'm not looking past any of the other schools we're playing. But to me, I mean, our goal right now is obviously to go 1-0, and that's our only goal. And then we add goals as we go.
One of the things that I've heard the most about you is your enthusiasm to come in and coach and be around the kids and be competitive. You said, I don't know what it takes to be a football player. I know 2 things. 1, you better be competitive, and 2,
right.
you better have some enthusiasm for it. Right. That's probably more important in right. Division 5, 6, 7 football. That's yet to come in the state of Ohio.
Right.
But in small school football, there is absolutely no, am I right?
Right.
No excuse
right.
or substitute for being competitive
Effort.
and enthusiastic.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. And you know, when I said about being a football player, there's a million things about it. That's why I can't tell you which one. But yes, enthusiasm and a competitive spirit. And just, you know, and I guess the thing that I like about the kids here so far, we don't even put our shoulder pads on until tomorrow, but they all seem to want to be successful. And that, to me, I say that a lot, but you know, it's one thing to be successful, but if you want to be successful and you're willing to do what it takes, we'll be successful here. I firmly believe that. And right now, right away.
I want to take a minute and talk about the conference because it has been the subject of a lot of criticism in recent years. Covington has always been the kingpin here for 20 years, going back to the phenomenal run they had with Ted Peacock and Coach Finfrock, who's now at Bethel this year.
Right.
You got some new blood. You're here. Finney's now over at Bethel, mm-hmm. and a lot of people say it has to help this conference from the standpoint of making the weaker teams better, the stronger teams more prepared to play in the postseason. I'm going to put it right to you. What's the long-range goals and needs for this conference to make those 2 things happen?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head right there. I mean, it's not all about the coaches, but you got a proven winner in Coach Finfrock. I mean, his record speaks for itself. I mean, he's been very successful, and I look for him. You know what? I've watched 2 years of film on Bethel, and this isn't to slight their previous coaches, but I'm like, man, they got some big kids, some good-looking kids.
Yeah.
Some good-looking athletes. So I think he's going to turn it around down there.
You got a proven winner in Max Current.
You got a proven winner in Max Current, but he's been there for a while, you know, and I think, you know, that's what it takes right there is you know, teams that aren't complacent and aren't satisfied with losing. It seems like, and I'm not going to slam the CCC, but it seems like year in, year out, there's 2 or 3 teams in the CCC that are always at the bottom. Mm-hmm. And I think what happens sometimes it's a loser's mentality. And, you know, I've fought that, not personally, but with kids as far as you can't just accept a loss. It has to hurt, and it has to mean something. And if it doesn't, then you shouldn't be playing this game. I mean, and if you don't have that attitude, then it ain't ever going to get better.
TJ, quickly tell me what you can do, because I hear this lament everywhere we talk with football, Division 1 through Division 6. You talk to coaches, and they all say, I feel like we're losing ground because even while we're winning, we're losing kids out of football. Mm-hmm. Not as many kids are playing. I know you told me a couple of weeks ago you went through that at Greenville.
Absolutely.
You're winning football games. You go 7-3, and yet you have kids that don't play football. What do coaches have to do, programs have to do to get more kids playing football?
Well, you know what I think the biggest thing you got to do is it's got to be fun. You know what I mean? And I have to compromise some of my some of my intensity maybe, mm-hmm. that may be determined as me being mean or being nasty, but it's not. It's me being passionate and intense because I'm an intense individual, I feel. And I think I need to pick and I've done a better job so far here, and you grow as a coach, mm-hmm. of picking those times to be extremely intense. You know, if you're always that way, if you're always one way or the other, it's not going to work. But then at the same time, I think you got to run something, especially offensively, that's fun. I mean, people want that it's exciting. I think that's a start. You know, I think that's a start. And then another thing you got to do is, and people coaches say this too, but you got to build the program from the ground up.
Yeah.
And the one thing I like about Arcanum is they have youth football, but it's on a small scale. And, you know, I had a youth football clinic last week, and every single one of the coaches came. And that was a great step. And I was very excited about it. We sat in here for 3 hours. I got a pizza. And we just, you know, I talked about the proper way to block and tackle for an hour and 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. That's all. And then we went into, I gave them 1 offensive play and 2 defensive fronts and talked about just football. And, you know, and they were all very receptive. And I think you got to get people on your side. And it's not going to be phony. It's not going to be fake. But it's to the point where they understand that you're going to put in the effort as a coach into these kids. And that's the thing I said this to you a couple of weeks ago. I'm not the best coach in the world. I'm not by far not the smartest coach in the world. But I'm going to outwork all of our opponents. And that's the attitude our kids are going to have. We might not be better than them. They might be more talented than us. They might be bigger, stronger, faster. But they are not going to outwork us because we can control that. And if you put that all together and you put that on the field, you'd like to think, hopefully, that people will respond to that. The community will respond to that. And I think this place will respond. I think Arcanum will respond to that.
And more kids are going to want to play football.
And then, you know, hopefully the positives are you get more kids out.
This guy's a lot of fun. A lot of fun to talk football with, and I think people here in Arcanum are going to enjoy the new head coach of the Arcanum Trojans in 2012. He's TJ Powers, and thanks and best of luck.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Always fun to be here. That wraps up this week's edition, again sponsored by the Buckeye Insurance Group in Piqua, as well as the Coverman Dickerson Agency representing the products of Buckeye Insurance in Troy, Piqua, Covington, and now Champaign County in St. Paris. Join us again next time for another edition here on First Person, and thanks for your support of PressProsMagazine.com.
If you are looking for quality insurance protection from a reliable company, sold by professionals, in communities like yours, that's what you'll get from Buckeye Insurance Group.
Buckeye Insurance Group, insuring the heartland.
To find your local Buckeye agent, visit buckeye-ins.com. Buckeye Insurance Group, insuring the heartland.
Insuring the heartland.